Welcome to the POTRBLOG site, May 21st, 2013, 7 a.m. in the morning. There's an alert of possibly radioactive noxious fumes. The fumes were reported near Mills Mall in Hazelwood, Missouri. The likely source of these fumes is from the underground radioactive fire that is occurring at the West Lake Landfill in Bridgeton, Missouri. There is some remediation work scheduled to go on this week, where I think they're digging up some concrete pipes that vent down into the what they prefer to call an underground smoldering event. But it's concerning because in the previous week, the POTRBLOG team actually went out and took Geiger counter measurements around the perimeter of the landfill, and here's a picture of what we discovered. Basically, in areas of high stench, there were higher CPM levels, counts per minute on the Geiger counter. And if you see here, this is where the wind was coming from, and this was the higher level of stench area, and it was at 35 CPM. And the winds this morning are out of the southwest. I think at the moment it is actually calm, but they have been as high as 9 miles an hour. Let's see, pull up the weather. Yes, if you see here, winds are out of the southwest, but at 0 miles an hour. We would suggest doing your best to avoid these fumes, but I'm not sure how one does that in a 0 mile per hour wind situation. Here's the general location of where these fumes were reported. Down here is the landfill. So this is significantly worse than it was last week when we took measurements. For those of you unfamiliar with the situation, it was actually reported on in Rolling Stone under St. Louis's burning an underground landfill fire near tons of nuclear waste. What's also very concerning about this is that from the data we've looked at, from what the remediation efforts are, we can find no indications that there is any active airborne radioactive monitoring occurring around this. There's some monitoring going on for the noxious chemicals that are being released, but and they have an evacuation plan and other stuff related to those levels. Well, it shouldn't be called an evacuation plan. It is probably more than likely a shelter or die-in-place plan if noxious levels are reported too high. But we can find no evidence that they're actually doing any airborne radioactivity monitoring. And since they're digging down into this area, and it's an underground quote-unquote smoldering event, fire, air, radioactivity, you can figure out what the risk is. But again, unusually high levels of stench reported along Interstate 370 near the St. Louis Mills Mall. We believe it's highly probable that it's radioactive.